Well, former Attorney General Loretta Lynch now under investigation. The Senate looking into whether she interfered with Hillary Clinton's email probe. It should seem like a big deal, but take a look at this. Not according to the so-called mainstream left-stream media, with only one network, ABC, giving a 30-second mention to the new investigation. The rest completely ignoring it. Shouldn't a story like this get more coverage? Here to break it down, Washington Examiner White House correspondent Sarah Westwood and Federalist reporter Bree Payton. Sarah, Bree, thanks for being here this morning. Sarah, I'll start with you. With so much coverage of the so-called Trump-Russia collusion probe, yet almost nothing of a new investigation into a former attorney general. Why?
On the one hand, it's not surprising that we've seen less coverage by volume of the Loretta Lynch allegation. She's out of power now. We're talking about events that transpired more than a year ago. But at the same time, this does offer what's more or less a roadmap to media bias and coverage of the Trump scandals versus the Clinton scandals. In both cases, we're talking about an allegation that senior administration officials worked to downplay publicly the significance of an investigation. In Trump's case, this amounts to obstruction of justice, witness intimidation, this laundry list of offenses in the eyes of the media. In Clinton's case, we don't know what the Lynch allegation amounts to because the media has been more or less silent. And we've seen this time and again from reporters, this willingness to echo Democratic talking points about Trump with very little skepticism while actively debunking or rejecting Republican talking points about Clinton in the name of objectivity. It's a double standard.
Bree, speaking of double standard, if they're not covering this, they're covering something else. And over the last 2 days, the mainstream media, ABC, NBC, CBS, and their nightly news have spent 10, 9, I believe we have a graphic of it, and 7 minutes, respectively, there it is right there, on the so-called Trump-Russia probe. There hasn't been, that's the last 2 days, hasn't been all that much new information as it pertains to that, yet they're covering it in the lead. Why?
Yeah, well, they're covering it in the lead. We're getting wall-to-wall coverage on every single tiny update and non-update in the Trump-Russia investigation because it fits their narrative. And we're not getting hardly any coverage about Hillary Clinton and about Loretta Lynch's alleged and supposed collusion that may or may not have happened because that doesn't fit their narrative. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. These are the same people who fangirled over her all throughout the entire election, the same people who wrote think pieces about her pantsuits and about her fashion choices. And charming profiles about her gal pals. So I really can't say, I'm not surprised at all that they are deciding to not cover this update and this investigation because it simply doesn't fit their narrative.
Sarah, I got to get both of your take on another aspect here. The White House Correspondents Association is now concerned that there are fewer on-camera press briefings. Do the American people care about this? And does it have to be on camera for reporters to be informed about what's happening at the White House?
The on-camera briefings, they have offered some uncomfortable sound bites and clips to the White House. And Press Secretary Sean Spicer, he was not wrong this week when he said that the intensity and the content of the briefings changes when you flip the cameras off. I'm there nearly every day. I can attest to that. But at the same time, the White House does expose itself to criticism by cutting back on televised briefings in the middle of a controversy. It would have been one thing if they did this directly after the transition when they first floated the idea of limiting the number of televised briefings. But to do it in the middle of a controversy just fuels Democrats' argument that the White House is avoiding questions.
Bree, but do the American people care? Does it fuel questions, or does it not feed into the feeding frenzy of a media that are just trying to get after them?
Yeah, well, I think that there's good reporters who ask substantive questions like Sarah, but I think there's also a lot of reporters who use the briefing room as an opportunity to grandstand, and we definitely have seen a lot of that all throughout this administration and this term, and I think that the American people aren't served by reporters who grandstand, and I think, you know, it's unfortunate that maybe the more substantive reporters who ask tougher questions might be unfairly punished, or this might make their jobs harder, but at the same time, I mean, even Clinton's press secretary said that he regretted having the briefings be televised because he thought that a lot of reporters just used it as an opportunity to grandstand and make themselves the story. Yeah. And the fact that we're talking about it today instead of a lot of other policy decisions, I think shows, you know, that the media really is driving the narrative and trying to make the news cycle all about themselves.
That's right. If you want to take control back of that narrative, then you choose a different medium, which is exactly what the White House in this case has done. Sarah and Bree, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.